My name is Kojo Yankson. Let me tell you how to turn back time. You can now bring back all the fun, all the excitement, all the controversy of the Super Morning Show and all your favorite Joy shows when you go to myjoyonline.com/podcasts. Just select your favorite show and bring it all back again. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Radio, Joy 99.7.
Good morning and welcome to AM News. And in our first story, government is taking 1.5 million out of the 70 million doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines granted as gifts to Africa by the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. JoyNews is learning President Akufo-Addo has dispatched an aircraft to bring in the doses. At a media briefing at the Jubilee House, Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, says the gesture comes out from the President's bilateral discussions during his recent visit to Germany. The Ashanti region will be administering 70,300 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine starting tomorrow, September 1st. The region has a backlog of about 100,000 people waiting for the second dose of the vaccination.
The Ashanti Regional Health Director, Dr. Emmanuel Kojo Tinkran, says vaccines will be made available in coming days to those who missed the second jab.
We have been given a total of 70,300 doses of AstraZeneca, and we are going to start immunization of all those who have already taken their first dose AstraZeneca and are waiting for their second dose. So if you've taken Johnson & Johnson, or you've taken Sputnik, or you've completed your dose for AstraZeneca, or you've not been vaccinated at all, this one is not for you. We will give it to all health workers and then the general public who has been given their first dose AstraZeneca. The program is starting on the 1st of September. And we will take 5 days to finish.
Dr. Tinkran is entreating those who took the first jab of the AstraZeneca to make themselves available for the second jab to complete their vaccination.
We are encouraging everyone to take part. If you've taken your first dose, it's very, very important you take your second dose and complete. A number of people have been complaining that their second dose have delayed. And this is the time. The government has done so well to get us this vaccine. So let us take advantage and ensure that we are fully vaccinated for AstraZeneca. So when you get your second dose, that means that you've completed the dose for AstraZeneca.
Those who have misplaced their COVID vaccination card will have the opportunity to be vaccinated by providing their names and telephone numbers.
If you've lost your card, all that you need to do is to go to where you vaccinated. You mention your name and your telephone number. They will track it to see whether you've been vaccinated, and then they will give you the second dose. So don't say that you've lost your card so you won't go for the second dose. Go to the center. Mention your name and your number, your phone number. Your data will be captured and a new card will be issued to you.
Reporting for Joy News, Obidishio Freyamanfo.
The chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, James Kluche Aveji, is advocating for continuous education for public servants on the procurement and other financial acts and the consequences of not adhering to them. He says this will guide them on corrupt acts as they commit in the line of duty. Speaking to Joy News on day one of the committee's 5-day sitting on the Auditor General's report for 2017 in the Bono regional capital of Sunyane, Mr. Aveji said the committee needs more powers to help make corruption an expensive business.
Teachers and the accountants from some pre-tertiary institutions in the Bono region, they appeared before Parliament's Public Accounts Committee to answer queries on irregularities from the Auditor General's report for 2017. The irregularities include cash management, procurement, payroll, contract, and tax. While some head teachers were discharged after the auditors confirmed their recommendations, including retrieving monies wrongfully spent, have been adhered to, others needed to provide better evidence. The headmaster for Sunyani Methodist Technical Institute, Clifford Kofi, was made to produce 10 computers before the committee. Nkraman SHS had their issues deferred for further checks when the 2017 headmaster, Joseph Abudu, unexpectedly appeared at the committee sitting. His answers to an estimated financial loss of over 580,000 Ghana cedis were unsatisfactory. The chairman of the committee and MP for Ketu North, James Kluchi-Aveji, told Joy News they need more powers to help make corrupt acts an expensive venture.
When you go to areas where you can see clearly that there are deliberate acts on the part of the civil servant to take money from government, like what we are just considering, I'll be calling for some power to be given to public accounts committees, so that when we are in the field this week, it's a matter of referring the issue, causing the arrest of the people. That will put fear in most of them. So in order to prevent or one, we need to implement the law to the matter. Two, we need to have powers as a public accounts committee to be able to refer some arrests so that it will serve as a warning to the deterrent people who might have that idea, so that will make corruption a very expensive business.
He, however, said continuous education for public servants on procurement and other financial acts would serve as a guide.
First of all, they must know the writing. Then two, they must be committed to go by the writing. As I said during our sitting, that most of them don't even have copies of the procurement law. So when they're going to go into procurement, they don't know which law guide. So if we're doing continuous training, they will know that before you want to procure through sole sourcing, there are steps you need to follow. And there are, before you can go for sole sourcing, there are certain goods that you can only do for sole sourcing. It's not every item that you do sole sourcing. So this continuous education, training and retraining is also needed. Mr. Veji also said the committee is working to sit on the 2018 and 2019 Auditor General's reports in 2022. So we are trying as a committee to also work to catch up. In fact, we are not looking at, we are in 2021, we are looking at 2017.
And some sad news coming in. An 8-year-old boy has been shot dead during a festival ritual in the Ewutu Breku in the Ewutu Senya West District of the Central Region. Now, according to the deceased relative, Atakao was shot on Monday morning by those carrying out the rituals to purify the community before the Ewutu Ewubia festival.
The boy was reportedly pushing his brother, who has a mobility disability, in a wheelchair when he was hit by a bullet. 2 others in critical condition were rushed to the hospital for treatment. The eyewitness, who gave his name as Joe, told JoyNews the people are supposed to be shooting in the sky, so he is amazed how they ended up shooting the victim. He claims to be his mother's only child. He said they were home when his aunt, the mother of the deceased, rushed in wailing. Joe said, together with his father, they rushed outside to meet a crowd surrounding the deceased body, covered with a cloth with blood all over the place.
I am Papa Niaba. But it's all Kimo, so the Subefio, Nami Rashi. It's not one of my Papa and Mamma, Mrs. Solé, no way then. Almost you should be, you should arroba, you should arroba. Jobino Rashi. Jawana Mamma make an answer. I am Papa Niabano. No, or by Odisubefio no Bacase. You couldn't ban, I'm saying, let me friend Papa, no Papa could other side or kind of roadside or let me friend who say, Ombla, na you and you me a blah Bemano, you couldn't. I want to be part of the share and I'm rushing and buy it. It's me buy and say, you could about Frano, Niba Bema Bakupe.
The Deputy Central Regional Commander, ACP Odrua Manning, has called for calm.
The body and then the injured person has been taken to Winneba Trauma Hospital. And then the suspect has also been brought to the police by the town folks. So we are now going to investigate to know how the whole thing happened. So each and every one should take heart, we should exercise with restraint for us to investigate so that we come out with the truth and things will work out.
$300,000. Now that's what is needed to save the eyesight of Abena Poma Asedu, who was diagnosed with pituitary macroadenoma, a type of brain tumor which caused her to go blind in her left eye. She has also been experiencing hormonal imbalances as a result of the tumor, causing her to bleed almost every day. Her deteriorating condition needs urgent attention. My colleague Judith Awachitando has been following her story and comes through with this report.
We actually have a family business we set up. It's a natural fruit juice company. We started supplying, we were pushing it.
With each passing moment, Abena's eyesight grows dimmer and dimmer. She's only 30 and has a life filled with dreams ahead of her. It all started in the month of February 2021 when Abena started experiencing blurry vision.
I was driving. I didn't really notice anything until I hit a taxi. Then I said, I told my cousin, I had an elder cousin, I said, I didn't see the taxi driver approaching. And everybody was like, how? Because it was coming.
Several scans and MRIs revealed one of the most shocking news. Abena was diagnosed with a brain tumor. She was devastated.
She said, you have a tumor in there. Then I said, okay, what kind of a tumor? She tried to encourage me, like, oh, there's a cure, go see the neurosurgeons, they can speak more on it than I.
And for her family, the news was almost impossible to bear.
You knew her before. She's the party type, the very bubbly, and I'm always there, like whatever you want to do it. But she's always encouraging you, but it brought her spirit down and it affected everybody. If you know our team, everybody will tell you she's the bubbly one amongst us. So for me personally, it affected me because she was the one always driving me around. I'll just push the seat backwards and be like, where have you got into? So, like, one time will come when you people have to take over.
She needed surgery, one that had to be conducted in the shortest possible time.
I remember I asked him, oh, I read that there's this drug that can shrink the tumor. He said, it's blinding you. Like, are you aware of what is happening? Because it's surgery that she told me. You can only be fine if we take the tumor out.
With her family's help, she had the surgery, and Abena thought she'd get better. But results from a post-surgery scan crushed her even more.
The tumor had a measurement before surgery, and I knew the measurement. And then after surgery, there was a measurement. I looked at it, and then I pulled the old one before surgery. And it was almost the same. It was virtually the same. After dialogues with them, we agreed I get a second opinion and get a second surgery. That can kind of wipe away everything. The Well Cornell Presbyterian Hospital. They gave us a neuro, they assigned the neuro to my case. My doctor sent my scans and MRIs and everything. And then they said they could do it. Almost 300,000 USD.
She needs an emergency surgery or Abena loses her sight forever.
I've been having my menses from 8th June. They give me drugs, stopped for a day and it's back. Stopped for days and it's back. Headaches. Tumor is still there, my left eye is off and it's getting around my right eye. They call it peripherals. So when someone is actually here, I can't see. I could see. So I'm out there begging anyone to help me go through this.
All Abena wishes for is to see properly again. But she cannot do this on her own. She needs your help, and she needs it urgently. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Judith Awache Tando.
If you're moved to help, kindly send your donations to the numbers displayed on the screen. And that's it for the AM news. But of course, the AM show continues, and we're going straight into the newspapers right after this with Israelite and myself. Don't go anywhere.
My name is Kojo Yankson. Let me tell you how to turn back time. You can now bring back all the fun, all the excitement, all the controversy of the Super Morning Show and all your favorite Joy shows when you go to myjoyonline.com/podcasts. Just select your favorite show and bring it all back again. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
It's radio, Joy 99.7.
Good morning to you once again. It's time for the news review, and then Imwa joins me. So this morning we're going to split, and Anima's going to do the daily graphic.
You're making it sound so well. Israel usually uses an average of 11 minutes to do the daily graphic.
Sometimes 7 minutes.
Yeah, very rarely. So we wanted to find out if it's Israel or if it's the daily graphic. So I'm going to do the daily graphic.
The daily graphic has a lot of stories. It's the biggest of the newspapers.
Okay, Israel. Should I get into it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so on the front page of the daily graphic this morning, outcome of President's state visit, Germany gifts Ghana 1.5 million doses of AstraZeneca. Okay, so that's good news. The German government, has donated 1.5 million doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine to Ghana. So great stuff. Stakeholders commit to strengthening media training. Roads Minister bemoans delay over Obechebi Lamte project, and stray bullet kills 9-year-old boy. I brought you those stories in the AM news from this morning. Okay, other stories on page 7. Why the National Cathedral must make Nana poor. France, Britain to propose Kabul safe zone. Ritual murders revisited. That's in Rodney's Potpourri. Okay, so that story about the stray bullet that killed a 9-year-old boy. The boy was called Michael Darko, popularly known as Kobe, the fresh boy. He was shot in the head around 10 a.m. whilst he was pushing his disabled brother in a wheelchair to buy food from the market, which is close to a Deba. That was happening in Awutu-Breku. So,
very tragic story.
Yeah, really, really sad story there. Nuclear power project to generate $1.2 billion local content. 25 people have undergone drug prevention training. The energy minister is wooing investors. That story, there's a pullout in the graphic this morning. Okay, so a special supplement on business and exciting things that are going on in Ghana. So in that, the energy minister is wooing investors. Potential in oil and gas sector remains huge. Springfield EMP important energy sector. Bui Power, renewable energy leader. So really a lot of energy stories.
Yeah, it's all about energy.
Yeah, ensuring the survival, sustainability of oil marketing companies. And then WAPCO, reliable partner in meeting energy needs. Okay, so if you're an energy person, you're interested, and there's a pull-out in the daily graphic. The last story on that pull-out is ECG needs private sector participation, energy think tanks. That's what they're saying. Okay, so the center spread of the actual graphic, 25, okay, I've told you about that one. Prioritize local dialects over foreign languages, Jan Apenting urges Ghanaians. He says when a language becomes extinct or is spoken by only a few people, the culture of that language loses its dynamism and eventually dies out. So he's a media consultant, and he's asking that we focus on teaching and learning our local languages. So, okay, in politics this morning, discuss NDC's electoral proposals. Dr. Akwete urges stakeholders. Consistency Delegates Conference successful. That's according to John Boydu. release funds for disbursements to assemblies. The PAC chairman is appealing to government, and NPP cannot pass accountability test. That's according to the NDC. Okay, that story about the roads minister bemoaning delay over Obeshebi Lamte project is on page 20. He says, we have so many projects to undertake and I'm not too happy with the delay here. He's expressed disappointment over the slow pace of work on phase 2 of the Obeshebi Lamte interchange project and has consequently tasked those in charge to hurry up, basically. Regional news this morning, Chief builds water system for community. That's happening. That's the Achim Kotoku Mponya Jasehene. They're doing that. Methodist Church inaugurates 50-bed Ibraso Hospital. Ayawine takes over ICU General Secretary. They voted, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago. It was in the newspapers. Victims of Techiman South shooting sue government for 25 million Ghana cedis. Okay, and this is a quick excerpt. I was home when my daughter, Abdullah's sister, came home in tears and informed me that Abdullah had been shot at the collation center by security men and taken to the Holy Family Hospital in Techiman. So 6 injured persons and the father of an 18-year-old boy killed as a result of the shooting that rocked Techiman South during the 2020 general elections have sued the government and are asking for 25 million cedis in compensation in total. Picture of the IGP, so it's against the IGP and also Mr. Godfrey Yabodame, Attorney General. Okay, in business, employee fraud in banks rises, accounts for more than half of fraud cases in 2020, and that came with the Auditor General's report, where we learned that people who actually work in the banks are actually hold a larger percentage for helping people commit fraud when it comes to banking. Some sports, Italia 91 success was game changer for Ghana, that's according to Guza. Fire officers avert disaster in Tamale. 4-hour downpour floods metropolis. The worst affected areas in the metropolis were Gumani, Fuo, Tunai, Vitin, Target, and Klobamangu. So personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service in the northern region have averted a possible major fire disaster when they spotted a fuel leakage at a filling station and controlled its flow as a 4-hour downpour flooded Tamale. Remember that this is how the circle fire happened, because fuel was leaking and then it started burning at the filling station. So well done there. But 4 hours of rain, I can only imagine what the effects of that will be. We'll bring you more on that story and what's happening with rains up in the north. Pension scheme for cocoa farmers on pilot. And that's it for the Daily Graphic, and it's 6:35. How many minutes did I do? 5.
5 minutes, but all you did was just read headlines.
I talked about the AstraZeneca. I can
do that in 2 minutes.
Oh, really? But you haven't done it, though, in a month.
But the viewers deserve a bit more. We need to tell them a bit more about this.
If you're listening to us and you feel like there was any story that I didn't tell you about properly, please do let me know.
That's the point I mean.
Because Israel is just trying to be, you know what I mean. Like, you do it. Okay, here's the Daily Graphic. You do it then. Let's
done it already.
Well, no. But tell me which stories.
We can't go into it.
Don't be a sore loser, Israel.
Okay.
And don't use 11 minutes on the Ghanaian time.
No. I mean, actually, if I'm doing what you did, I could do it in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go to the Ghanaian Times right now. So on the front page, 5-hour downpour caused a distraction in Tamale Metropolis yesterday. Koforidua drivers' mates defy nose mask order, but the police are vowed to crack the whip. Marine police arrive in Upper East region to deal with the Bagre Dam spillage. 22 Fulanis arrested for illegally possessing firearms. And that story is on page 3. Police chase suspects for causing commotion at funeral. That's also on page 3. And in Kramang, SHS indicted for misappropriating 580,000 Ghana cedis, 580,836 Ghana cedis. Food prices soar as war ravages Ethiopia. That's in Africa news. Algeria arrests Tunisia's former presidential candidate. And then we go to, well, there's more foreign news. U.S. investigates civilian deaths in Kabul strikes. North Korea appears to restart nuclear reactor. New Orleans loses power as Hurricane Ida strikes, and about 1 million people are without power in Louisiana from Hurricane Ida, which has been downgraded to a tropical storm. And okay, so the story on the front page says Marine police arrive in Upper East region, but on the page 7 where the story is, it says military police arrives. Actually, Marine police are going to leave. So they have been deployed to ensure that they can go to the rescue of people who are impacted by the floods following from the Bagri Dam spillage. Then we go to page 10. 100 stranded on Buipe Bridge due to blockage by falling long vehicle. BDA commends water aid for wash facilities. In politics, Mama condemns killing of journalist. And that's the foreign journalist who was killed somewhere on the Tamale Buipe Road by armed robbers, suspected armed robbers. Disregard claim, General Secretary has been suspended as a PNC, saying that work together to promote government's achievements. That's Baumia. Alan Tremantin condemns clash between MPP supporters at funeral. And those visuals have been on JoyNews. Special team deployed to regulate traffic along Kaswa Bujumburam Winneba Road. The South Municipal Assembly conducts Operation Clean Your Frontage. Will invest in STEM education, President assures. Support capacity building, safety of media practitioners. That's Information Minister Kojo Ponkuma. And then in the center spread, the story about the Kufuor drivers and mates defying nose mask order and the police vowing to crack the whip. And President cast sought for Botem and sports facilities. Oh, and on page 18, 687 girls in Upper West Region returned to school pregnant following reopening. Yep.
How did that happen?
Well, they've been home for a while, and they got excited about stuff going on. Okay. And then on page 23, religious bodies asked to lead in enforcing COVID-19 safety protocol. But the religious bodies have actually been doing a good job, or the churches, I should say, have been doing a pretty good job in enforcing the protocols in the churches. Still on COVID-19, 70,300 to be vaccinated in Ashanti region from tomorrow. Ghana Health Service expresses concern over consistent decline in TB detection in Ashanti region. And then on page 26, in business, total direct tax collection shoots up by 26% in July. That's according to a Bank of Ghana report. Raised to help in domestic revenue mobilization. That's Kojo Ponkruma. And women entrepreneurs schooled on oil and gas sector. Ghana Stock Exchange ends week with increase in composite index. And more business news. Rural and community banks must meet minimum capital requirement by end of 2021. That's Bank of Ghana Governor. Africa must strengthen institutions for economic growth. AFDB President. And in sports, Black Queens start preparation for Aisha Buhari Invitational Tourney. And Liberty Professionals Academy wins maiden Kantanka Cup. Man United fans, players celebrate Ronaldo's return. Messi makes PSG debut in 2-0 win over Rennes. And YouTuber beats ex-UFC champion in boxing match. Kotoko unveil jerseys for new GPL season. Okay.
Okay, that's exciting. Oh, okay, let's have a look.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Looks good. Looks
Red
cool,
and yellow.
Actually. And NSA, National Sports Authority, Cape Coast Stadium, ready for Stars Warriors World Cup qualifier. Michael Osset takes over as Gold Stars head coach. And on the back page, 5-hour downpour causes distraction in Tamale Metropolis. We'll be talking a bit more about that on the show. And help protect electric poles from bushfires, ECG.
Okay.
That's it for the Ghanaian Times.
6 minutes. 6 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. 35:41.
No, before we got into it, you ended at 35.
No, you actually...
We spoke for a while.
We spoke within that I spoke for like 10 seconds, so you actually started at 6:35. So yeah, 6:41, also 6:41 in Greece. On the front page of the Daily Guide this morning, boy 8 killed
at... It's not 6:41 in Greece.
It's 6:41 in my Greece. My Greek yogurt is 6:41 in the fridge. What time is it in Greece, though?
I can check that for you, but we're not on the same, within the same time zone.
Oh, we're not? Oh. So it would be later or earlier? Do you know? Would people in Greece be sleeping by now?
I don't know.
Or they'll be having breakfast. Bruschetta and olives and, all the good stuff.
What's all that about?
We are here. You eat cocoa and go sit this morning. Anyway, let's go on to the Daily Guide this morning. Front page, boy 8 killed at Ewutu Festival. Suhum MPP bloody brawl reveals cracks. Legon lecturer, ignorant about free SHS, that's according to the ministry. Don't speak tree in the dock, that's according to CID boss. VRA issues flood warning. Oh, okay. I'll bring you a little bit more on the flood warning there. Sabotage or stealers. Okay, that's the little comic thingy on page 3 of the Daily Guide. Let's do some world news. Hurricane Ida kills 1, knocks out power across New Orleans. Oh gosh, okay. US drone strike in Kabul kills 10 civilians. China bans under 18s from playing online games for more than an hour a day. So China is banning under 18s from playing online games for more than an hour a day. And then only between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and public holidays. The ban will be enforced by online gaming companies, which are now required to strictly enforce rules requiring users to register accounts with their real identities in order to play. These new restrictions were announced on the Chinese social media platform Weibo. Okay, follow, shares, I'm trying to look for the reason why this has... Okay, so it's a crackdown on gambling companies, actually, and so this is one way that they're tackling it.
Online games?
Yeah. So, okay, so shares in China's biggest online gaming company slumped after state media branded their products spiritual opium and compared them to electronic drugs earlier this year.
Okay.
The reference to opium is charged in China, where European powers, including Great Britain and France, hobbled the Qing dynasty in the mid-90s. It's a whole historic...
Okay, so I shared a link to the story. I shared it with I forwarded it to my son, who's home now, because he likes playing. He can stay on the PS for
hours.
For hours, several hours. So I sent it to him that he's supposed to... This is what's happening in China. He said, yes, sir. That's all he said.
That's all he said, yes, sir. He's like, hey, let me not go and rock the boat.
He said, I've heard.
It's small, Sunday. Fine. Other stories, page 5, Nigerian state shuts market over attacks. Let's move to page 6. Legon lecturer ignorant about free SHS. The Ministry of Education has come down heavily on the University of Ghana lecturer Dr. Samson Obeda Pia for allegedly trying to run down the free SHS school policy. The lecturer in a television interview had described the double-track system as the most unfortunate policy in the history of the country's educational system. I think he's allowed to have an opinion. I mean, I don't see what the problem is. Yes, we know that free SHS definitely has its benefits, but we also know that, it's not easy on parents who are having to have their kids at home for, extended periods of time, who are having to pay for extra classes, buy them books. I mean, come on. I think that the government should continue to be open to some criticism, and it's the only way you can get better. So yeah, of course, we commend you for free SHS, but, slamming people for sharing their opinions, not nice at all. Anyways, boy 8 killed at Ewutu. Can the newspapers agree on this boy's age? Some people say 9, 8, 9, 8. Can we just get the story straight? Okay, 23 Fulani robbers arrested in Donkokom. Don't be passive passengers, according to MTTD boss. He's asking that passengers shouldn't look unconcerned when they're in cars. So when you're going on a trip or whatever, you should watch the driver, shout at the driver basically when he's screaming. When he's speeding and all of that. So take part in that. Okay, so let's do some entertainment. I nearly died. Funny face narrates ghastly incident. SK Original returns to music scene after years. My family problem is nobody's business. That's according to Paul Okoye, who is half of P Square. Remember that his wife filed for divorce a couple of months ago. He says, let the Okoye family just have the peace that I think they're having now. I hate waking up anytime and seeing people saying things. Whatever happened is a matter of choice. And one thing you need to do is to try and respect people that wake up one day and say they don't want to do it anymore. Quote unquote. Okay, so Anita Okoye, who is his wife, who filed the divorce, is asking for $15,000 monthly spousal support. She first sparked divorce rumors in April when she relocated with her 3 children to the U.S. Now, they have been university sweethearts and got married in 2014. They have 3 kids together. Diana beats Dinah Hamilton and others to win Vocalist of the Year 2021 Gospel Awards. So, Gospel songstress Diana. I don't know who she... Do you know who she is?
Oh.
Okay. She beats Empress Gifty, Dinah Hamilton, Celestine Donko, Lizzie Tiamwa, Abna Bedua, and Shira Tina to win the coveted award. That's interesting. Okay. ECD to be tested in trial phases. Fidelity introduces instant USSD mobile opening account. Ama Buzia remembers her brother K.A. Buzia. That story there. Mahama can only claim sainthood if he comes clean on the shameful Airbus scandal. And then also there's a horoscope in the Daily Guide. Nominees for 2021 RTP Awards unveiled. Okay, so the nominee list for over 41 categories was released last Friday. And this year, organizers have introduced new categories to cover behind-the-scenes professionals and contributors in television and radio, including producers, directors, editors, and pundits. That's very interesting. Okay, let's see. So some of the nominees: Anama McBrown, Vim Lady, Abeku Santana, Bernard Avle, Ajiman Prempe, Giovanni Caleb. Okay, interesting. Mona Gucci, Nanaya Tano, Komla Dum. Okay, Edma Ohima and Abna Sernu Nanchura also nominated. Interesting. Okay, show host of the year: Bella Mundi, Mami Grace, Nancy, Mama Zimbi, Stacey Amwating, Dorinando, Ajiman Prempe again, Kumbilson, Najele Doku, Hits FM. Okay, interesting. Well, we'll find out how that goes when it happens. On the back page, let's celebrate Abedi Pele. Didn't we just love Abedi Pele when we were growing up? He was just like so amazing, so amazing. Messi debut breaks Spain viewing record. Wow, Lionel Messi's debut with Paris Saint-Germain averaged over 2 million viewers in Spain, making it the most watched French football game in the country ever. Wow, Messi, all right. Messi is doing his thing. Businessman blesses Samuel. Okay, not sure. Right. Okay. Businessman and boxing enthusiast has presented a cash. Hey, Daily Guide. Musumiye sometimes. So has presented cash of 10,000 Ghana cedis to Samuel Techi, Ghana's only medal winner at the Olympics. And that's it for the Daily Guide.
Okay. Do you know how many minutes you use for the Daily Guide?
How many?
You use more time than the Daily Graphic.
How many minutes did I use?
Okay. Let's get on with the Business and Financial Times. Yeah. And on the front page, proposed GMPC ACA joint operatorship. Why pay $1.65 billion when you can have it free in 4 months? And that's a very, very good question. So I'll read you a bit of the story. So most it goes, the Institute for Energy Research and Policies has advised the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation to undertake rigorous cost analysis before taking up a stake in ACA Energy's oil blocks. The think tank also believes that it is prudent for the state-owned company to wait until the next 4 months when ACA's oil blocks would have returned to the states if it fails to submit a plan of development to the Ministry of Energy per the terms of its petroleum agreement with the government. After December 2021, Instapr's Executive Director Kwejo Poku said ACA's DWTCTP would return to the state if it fails to submit the timelines for developing it. And this is one argument that has also been made by Simmons as well. So he says, when you're giving the blocks actually belong to government, the state, Ghana, and then they're giving to you, the oil company, to develop. If you're not able to within a certain period, you have to relinquish it and government takes over.
Okay.
So if government is going to take over in 4 months, if you're doing nothing about it, why do we have to pay anything for it? So that's a question that a number of people have asked. But, well, yeah, this conversation is going to continue for a while. Local oil palm industry fights quota over 50% benchmark policy. The story is on page 3. And then nationwide medical insurance wins big at 2021 Insurance Award. And add nurseries, bungalows to Agenda 111. That's a Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association making that point. Then we go to page 7. Tariff liberalization with the UK starts tomorrow in fulfillment of Ghana-UK interim trade partnership agreement. Toyota launches genuine motor oil lubricants. And on page, which page is this? Page 11, Valvoline enters domestic lubricant market. Hold 10% in gold as currencies will be devalued. That's an expert. He says, better to have stake in physical bullion. Devaluations are going to be quite significant next year, as in currency devaluations. Cocaine production soars in Colombia as oil industry crumbles. Okay. And this is our final. The team who led athletes escape from Afghanistan. And what else do we have? Okay, let's just go to the back page. Outstanding Made in Ghana Products and Services nominated for award. And tourism stakeholders move to increase tourists from the US. And that'll be it for me.
Oh, okay. My last paper is a Daily Dispatch, but you have the Finder as well, don't you?
Yeah.
So do you want to just do that?
Okay, I'll just quickly go through it. On the front page, Frank Esiedubekwe denies any connection to Suhum attack parties. China proposes China-Africa partnership plan on digital platforms. Germany donates 1.5 million COVID-19 vaccines to Ghana. Government dispatches plane to bring it. That's Eugene Ahin saying that. So we're learning that this as a result of the president's visit to Germany and the interactions with the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel. So German Chancellor Angela Merkel made a promise to more than double the doses of COVID-19 vaccines to African countries at the just ended summit with African leaders on the G20's Compact with Africa initiative in Berlin. Okay, so we love the vaccines. So thank you to Germany for bringing us those vaccines. I think that'll be it for...
Okay, the Finder. So we'll go to My Joy Online in a second, but just run you through the front page of the Daily Dispatch. Suhum clashes. Police must deal with violent NPP thugs. That's according to EFSIN. Esiedubekwe on the Suhum violence. The Progress Party, which gave birth to the NPP in the political wilderness. That story is on page 6. And revival of the GTV breakfast. Okay, interesting.
And this story on Esiedubekwe. So we have Franklin Esiedubekwe.
Who's the health?
Who's the in charge director of public health at the Ghana
Exactly.
Health
Okay.
So he has absolutely nothing to do with it.
And this is Mr. Frank Esiedubekwe, also known as Protozoa.
Yeah, Protozoa. It's his nickname.
Protozoa. All right. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do My Joy Online, shall we, this morning? Okay.
So on the
can't really see
main story, a man arrested for allegedly beheading 12-year-old boy.
Oh, Dove. Okay.
Then we have 8-year-old shot dead during festival ritual in Awutu Breku. Tamale records second flood in 3 days, more residents displaced. You won't escape with loot after 2024. We will hold you accountable, NDC to Akufo-Addo Bawumia. NDC has deliberate plans to attack and frustrate plans of government, Dr. Bawumia, and the hardships were there before we came, but government has been able to reduce them, as Dr. Bawumia, and take concerns over economic hardship as reminders. As Afenyo Marking advising government, We are operating a problematic constitution. The parties agree, Kofi Apochi. And Mohammed's gains during thank you tours has dazed NPP into launching reckless attacks, as the NDC saying that.
Of course, the NDC saying that. Anyways, so that's My Joy Online. You can check out definitely more news stories on there. But Israel, before we go on a break, why don't you tell us what's coming up in today's show?
Well, yeah, we're going to be talking about the floods that's taking place. We've had floods affecting the northern region. So the Tamale floods have dominated several of the newspapers. We're also having the Upper West yet to actually recover because their roads were destroyed. And then the Upper East should be bracing for it because the Bagri Dam spillage. And we know that the Marine Police, the Ghana Police Service, has been deployed in the region to avert any disaster or to assist people should there be any disaster. And then Kumasi too had its own flooding yesterday. So yes, we're going to be having the conversation. We're speaking with the Ghana Meteorological Agency to get to understand what's happening and whether the forecast looks like going forward. And we'll also be speaking with NAD. We'll be speaking with our correspondents on the ground as well to get to understand what the situation is. So yes, we have all that coming up.
Good stuff. Also, it's the end of the 8th month, 8 out of 12.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we're asking, what are we asking?
So we're asking the people what's the year been like so far for you. You can share with us what the
We'd
year
love to hear your highs and
certainly.
lows. Tomorrow's 1st September. So it's like the years.
Oh, you know, yesterday it escaped me on the AM show. My mom, it was her birthday yesterday.
Israel. Really? Really?
I forgot to mention it on the AM show.
But you didn't forget it.
No, I didn't forget it. So we spoke.
Okay.
And I'll go see her today.
Well, happy birthday, Israel's mom. Thank you for this wonderful specimen that you've blessed us with. We're very grateful. Happy birthday to you. But there'll be many, many, many more years. Anyway, why don't you tell us what your year has been like, your highs and your lows? We'd love to know. I think we'll open the phone lines at some point and have a chat on that one. We're also talking about COVID.
We're also going to talk about COVID because we have the vaccine rollout, the AstraZeneca. Those of you who've been waiting for your second doses, some doses available, and they're rolling that out. So we'll speak with
Dr. Achiano.
Yeah. He's going to be telling us how the rollout is going to happen.
Yeah.
Once he's going to get theirs from tomorrow, we get all the details for you. So do stay tuned in. Up next, we're bringing you sports.
But let's stay with Asante Kotoko, where former board chairman of the National Sports Authority, Kojo Bunsu, says that Asante Kotoko should invest a lot of resources in their youth system if they want to get back to the days of their glory days.
I think it's all development. If you don't develop, you wouldn't be able to do well. And I think what Kotoko should do, they should go back to the days of Anochi, that is the junior side. Nurse them young. And you get players who are committed. The team doesn't have money to buy top players. And I believe that if Kotoko want to go back to the old times, they should be able to find good players who will come and support the team and win laurels. But if they don't do that, it's going to be very difficult because now football is money, is teamwork, is player, and the team that you have. So I believe that is what Kotoko should do.
An investment, more investments must be made in the juvenile system.
Yeah, more. So if you develop them, definitely you're going to get 4 or 5 who are committed to the team and the set pattern that Kotoko plays, the style. And also, we have a problem with the technical side. You take a coach, 6 months, the coach is sacked. We need to be very consistent. And with time, if you do something, it will really work. But if you bring in a coach, 6 months, the coach go, you bring a player from Brazil, 2 weeks, he goes to take whatever is being sacked, there's no consistency. Those days, you realize that we had consistency. We had a school in Kumasi called Radisco, and all these players were there. Albert Suman, he used to be called Baby Pele, very good player. You have Sam, all of them went to Radisco. So it was like a graduation from youth into the senior team. And look, this coach that I was talking about, this Thomas Kates, really also developed the team. He was a Hungarian, but so disciplinarian. He took Kotoko to the African Cup finals.
Let's move to Kotoko's rivals, Heart-of-Oak, and their coach, Samuel Boadu, has been crowned the NASCO Coach of the Year for the Ghana Premier League season that just ended after guiding the club to win last season's Premier League and then the FA Cup. The former Mediama coach beat Mariano Barreto, Vladislav Veric, Anna Walker and Prosper Natiogum to the coveted accolade.
I'm really happy for this opportunity. Yeah, I have to give thanks to the organizers and the NASCO. I dedicate this trophy and award to the board chairman, Togo Afede, for his confidence that he has in me to take part of the House of Folk job, and my wife as well for encouraging me to move to House of Folk for all these awards. And then to my technical team, who are in supporting of the hardworking, their advice and everything bring me through to this stage. And then the captain of the House of Folk and the players as well. They did marvelous work. They listened to instructions. That brought us far. And then to the House of Folk family, with the support that they give us, we do appreciate it. And I believe that this is not the end, and I believe they'll keep supporting us going to Africa. I love House of Folk family, and I love House of Folk people.
Well, it was Heart-of-Oak who dominated the awards as Ibrahim Salifu, who also plays for the Phobians, was adjudged NASCO Player of the Season. The former 11 Wonders midfielder, he beat top scorer in the just-ended Ghana Premier League season, Diawisi Taylor, Wafa's playmaker Augustine Boache, former Great Olympics player Gladson Awako, and then teammate Benjamin Afutu to the award.
I'm very grateful to everyone who played a role in my success as a footballer in the just-ended season. I'm extremely happy to have won this award in my first season in the Ghana Premier League. Special thanks to former coach of 11 Wonders, Ignacio Saseifusu, and coach Samuel Boadu, and to my teammates as well. It wouldn't have been possible without them. I know this award will push me to do more and to reach high heights. As we begin our CAF Champions League journey, we want the fans to support us in prayers, and once that is done, I'm hopeful our campaign will be a success.
And still on Heart-of-Oak, board member Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo has launched a scathing attack on the Ghana Football Association for awarding low-quality medals to the Phobians after winning the Ghana Premier League and the FA Cup last season. Pictures of the medals were awarded to the players and technical members of Heart-of-Oak, and these pictures were actually met with serious criticism from fans on social media, with many insisting the GFA could do a better job of appreciating the work put in by the Accra-based club all season.
We as a club have not at all in any way complained or said anything. But the FA as a leadership, the FA has been there for years. I mean years, over 60 years now, if I've said so. And there have been progress all along, you know. They are there now, they see the best in the world being done. And I don't think there's a need for anyone to put pressure on them, you know, to better, you know, their positions and also better the positions of the clubs, because this sort of third class, you know, cups and whatnot, you know, it's unacceptable now. It's unacceptable. Look at the sort of medals the boys had. I mean, it's unacceptable. So I believe strongly their own leadership should look into it and know that the world is changing. We are now, everybody is now well informed, and television is everywhere in the world. People are watching what happens, particularly in this Ghana, since we are a football country. And they should improve these things. They have the money there, you know, so I don't see where their problem is. This sort of third-class cups and badges or whatever they give to the boys, I think it's time they put a stop to it and get us something up to world standards.
Still on Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, and he also wants the government to consider the possibility of using full stadium capacity ahead of the CAF Champions League assignment for the league champions.
Stadium is a big concern to us, you know. At times I get a bit surprised. I think by now the Ministry of Youth and Sports should have done something about it. Because all over the world now, particularly in the big football world, you know, people attend, you know, matches in their full capacity now. And I don't see why that can't happen. The COVID protocols can be observed. And if that is done, I think we should be allowed to have a full stadium now if we want. I think our match with this Guinean side in about 4 weeks from now, if I would say so. No, less than that. But our first match with them will be on the 10th or so. And then a week after that, we are playing Accra here. We shall do our best to see if government will allow, you know, full capacity attendance. And if that comes on, that would be of great help to us because we are losing a lot of money. And, you know, football is money now. We have spent a whole lot of money, you have no idea. And I think it's time government comes to our aid because the money given by government, even by the FA, after these various checks that we made, there's really nothing to write home about. So I think if we're allowed to have a full attendance now at the stadium, that will help us a lot.
Hello, I'm Dori Nando. You can catch up with all the fun on the Cosmopolitan Mix and on all our shows via podcast. Just go to My Joy Online podcast and search for your favorite show and relive those moments all over again. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
All right, you're welcome to the AM show again, and we're going on to the conversations having to do with the floods that have occurred in part of the country. Let's hear from Tamale, where they experienced the floods yesterday. Kumasi also did, but let's start with Tamale.
This is my first time. I didn't see some before on this road. So I crossed first bridge, that was the second bridge. So I reached the middle and I saw that the rain to want to push me inside the hole. So I returned back that I should come back, I come and wait here. So after the rain, the erosion go down, I said I'll continue my journey.
How long have you been waiting here?
More than 1 hour, got it to 2 hours. Got it to 2 hours.
Where were you heading to?
The last bridge, some store buildings over there. So this is my second time. So the moment I read the moment I reach the middle, I want to force and cross. And how the rain to push me my motor. So I decided if I didn't turn my back, me plus my motor will go off.
We're compelled to invite fire service together with NATO to come and help us save life. And indeed, they have done it. We were able to rescue. They swam up to that house and rescue all those people.
How many people did they rescue?
6 people and about 4 children.
It has not been easy. It has not been easy. Because as of today, none of us can go to Tamale. Any attempt, you may even lose your life. As we can see, evidence by it has been divided into 3 sessions. The first session is the one at Taha, the second one is at Buwile, and the third one is at Fu. In fact, I think the incumbent MP house has been flooded. Mutoki, former MP for Damangu, the house has been flooded. And so many houses, we can talk of thousands of houses, has been got stranded.
People have locked up the other side and the other side again. A lot of people have locked up. So what we need is that the government should come out and make sure any engineer who supervises work and the work doesn't go proper, they should query him. Other than that, Ghana will never develop.
Sorry.
Right, so those were some visuals coming in from Tamale yesterday after the downpour and the resultant floods. We have on the line Yusuf Danjuma, who's the Tamale Metropolitan Director of the National Disaster Management Organization. Good morning to you, Mr. Danjuma. Now, what's the situation in Tamale this morning?
Yeah, good morning to your viewers out there. For now, the situation in Tamale is calm. We had a 3-hour torrential rain in Tamale yesterday. Most of the areas got flooded. We went around with the regional minister, the regional police command, and the Metro Police Command and the Ghana Fire Service to assess the situation on the ground. To see how we'll be able to put up measures to be able to support people who were affected.
What's the extent of flooding?
Yeah, it was terrible. We had the flood-prone areas, but unfortunately, yesterday most of the areas that got flooded was as a result of the certain constructions that have been going on in some areas and which have not been completed. Some drainages that were under construction and certain communities that had not been completed, which led to the flooding of some of the areas. But as we speak, the situation is calm. We are assessing the situation. We'll submit our report to regional for onward resolution to those issues, and most especially to the areas that got flooded.
One of the victims of the floods who was speaking to JoyNews indicated that this is the first time he's experiencing anything like that. Would you say same?
Yeah. Most of the areas. That's why I indicated that we have flood-prone areas under the Tamale metropolis, but most of the areas that got flooded have certain peculiar situations. And I indicated that some of the areas that drainages have been under construction. That is how come some of the areas got flooded. But most of the flood-prone areas also got affected. And we are still assessing the situation. We have about 7 communities that were severely affected.
Is it just, are these just communities in Tamale, or it's the impact is beyond Tamale?
Yeah, these are communities under Tamale metropolis. Normally, we have 2 constituencies under Tamale Metro, which is Tamale South and Central. And we have 3 sub-metros under the Tamale Metro NADMO Directorate. So I haven't assessed the situation. Tamale South, most communities affected, and Tamale Central too, the same thing happened.
Do you know if we have any casualties?
Not yet. Not yet. Since yesterday, we were on the ground we've assessed the situation. We haven't had any casualty yet, but people have been badly affected. The people have their homes submerged underwater, filling stations and other institutions got submerged. So we are assessing the situation. We'll submit a thorough report on that and communicated it as well.
All right, Mr. Danjuma, I want you to hold on for me. We'll come to you in a bit for you to tell us the plans you have for people who may have been displaced and how you can support them. But we also have joining us Joshua Asamoah, who's with the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Good morning to you, Mr. Asamoah. Can you tell us what's happening as far as these rains and the resultant floods are concerned?
All right, good morning, and let me wish everyone listening to us a very good morning too. So basically, the northern portions are still in their rainy season, and this is the peak of the rainy season in the northern portions of the country. Before the rains will come to the south for us to get our mild rainy season, the north will continue to experience this rainfall. So yesterday was a rainstorm that entered the eastern portions of the northern sector around 5 a.m. So Yendi and its environs were experiencing rainfall in the early hours of the morning before it drifted to the west, affected Tamale and areas closer. But what makes Tamale's case peculiar is that the storm stagnated over that area for a very long time before it drifted to the upper west and Savannah regions. So the heavy rains they had was because of the stagnation of the storm, which affected the northern portions of the country over Tamale and more areas in the northern region before it went to the Savannah and upper west regions. So it's conditions that they will be experiencing because they are still in the rainy season over the northern portions. So it's not really an odd situation, but I think just like the man on the ground said, there are some factors that are local and activities by man, which will cause some of these flooding events to occur. But the rainfall that occurred was not really out of the ordinary.
Now, before the northern region of Tamale had its rain yesterday, we've had some rain as well in the upper west region where we saw some roads and all that damaged. Would you say it still has to do with the rainy season because the rains were quite heavy?
Yes, it still has to do with the rainy season. The rainy season, Northern Ghana has one rainy season. So it starts somewhere in June, July, and then goes all the way to September before it subsides, and then they enter into the dry season. But for us in the south, we get two rainy seasons. The major one will come in April, May, June, and then we'll get a break around July, August before we enter into the minor rainy season in September, October, and November. So before we will enter into our minor rainy season, the north will continue to be experiencing some of these rains. And then the upper west rains came in August, which is still the peak of the rainfall season in the northern sector. So it's still the rains they are getting because they are in their peak rainfall season. It's nothing really
no, but we always don't record this kind of rainfall and the kind of destruction we're seeing, do we?
Well, yeah, basically we don't. I think the magnitude is higher, but we still do experience some of these flooding events around this time. So just that we've had a higher magnitude around this time because we've seen a lot of systems developing towards the northern portions of the continent. So around Burkina Faso, Mali areas, we've seen a whole lot of systems and rainstorms tracking over these areas. And because the north is closer to Burkina Faso, some of these activities also tend to affect areas in the northern parts of the country. So the rains have been a bit higher this year for the northern portions of the country, which is why we are recording frequent flooding events in the northern portions of the country.
You're indicating that the region can't expect some more rain. That means that Tamale should brace itself for maybe another storm. How soon can they expect the next downpour?
It's very likely we'll get another rainstorm this week. Hopefully between Wednesday and Thursday, it's likely we'll have another rainstorm.
All right, unfortunately, we seem to have lost Mr. Asamoah from the Ghana Meteorological Agency. But I want to go back to Mr. Danjuma. If you're still on the line, Mr. Danjuma, I'm sure you heard what Mr. Samoa had to say from the Ghana Meteo. And he's saying that you should expect some more rain later this week. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, we have been receiving the update from them, and we embark on the sensitization on daily basis. Our field officers have been engaging the various communities, and we hope that people will comply with the education that is being put forward.
What is it that you're telling them?
Oh, we have been educated. We are telling them that for now the rains will continue to come, and those particular areas that people have been normally flood-prone areas, we tell them what they are supposed to do by making sure that people stay where they are when it's raining, and the team will be on the ground to make sure that people's lives will not be lost. And those areas that constructions are still going, drainages are being constructed, and certain areas that still need more drainages, we are still talking to them. We are working with partnering with other agencies. Yesterday, for instance, Fire Service was there to prevent what we saw last in the June 3rd disaster when the filling station got submerged. NPA, they were there, and EPA. Well, for them to continue to sensitize the people as to how we'll be able to rescue ourselves before even the state agencies will come in.
Well, when we spoke with Mr. Sama, he indicated that you probably could be getting some more rain as soon as tomorrow, Wednesday. Now, you've already had some downpour in the flood-prone areas have been flooded. I'm sure the ground is going to be saturated, and then you're going to have another rain. Would it require that you probably would have to move away, evacuate people from many of these areas, and even to some areas that typically wouldn't get flooded?
Yeah, technically we are looking at those by evacuating people. We are looking at all those options are being explored. Looking at how Tamale is situated, you look at especially the Tamale South constituency that is a flood-prone area. We look at other options available. There are school blocks, there are mosques, and so on, where people should always learn to comply when we give them the directive. That is the most important thing, because when homes are flooded and we need to evacuate people, we still will have more rains. People should comply. Some are adamant to evacuate from where they are. So we have been talking to them, telling them what they are supposed to do so that we will be able to evacuate people when the need arises.
All right, and what about plans for relief items to support people who have been
we are putting the report together today so that the regional will come in and we'll see what we'll do to be able to bring in some mitigation measures to the people who are affected.
How soon can you come to their aid?
Come again.
How soon can you come to their aid?
Yeah, even the regional minister was there, regional director, I am a metro director, regional director was there. We have just put in summary report yesterday. Today we'll be completing the report so that we know the exact people who are affected. The numbers are huge, to be honest with you, but we will be able to make it up to them.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Danchima, the Tamale Metropolitan NADMO Director, for speaking with us. We have Mr. Asamoah from GMET still rejoining us. We'll be coming to you, Mr. Asamoah, but I want us to go to the Northeast region and to Alhassan John Kweku, the NADMO Director. Good morning to you, Mr. Alhassan Kweku. What's the situation in your region?
Good morning, and let me say good morning to all of you for having me. This morning, this region is okay, apart from the a few incidents.
Hello, Alhassan Kweku. All right, so we have lost the Northeast Region NADMO Director, but let's come back to Accra and to GMET and to Mr. Asamoah. So, Mr. Asamoah, we've heard you were telling us about the situation in the northern region. You were indicating that there could be expecting, or they should be expecting some more rain, probably as soon as tomorrow. We lost you at that point.
All right. So basically, we're expecting some more rains in the northern and the middle portions of the country around midweek into the weekend. So more areas in the north will have their rains from Wednesday into Thursday. Wednesday will basically, the start of the day, the start of the day on Wednesday will not have so much rains, but as we approach the latter parts of Wednesday into Thursday, that is when we're expecting the rain. So for midweek into the weekend, there's still a possibility of more rains coming to the northern portions. And not just the north areas in the transition parts, Uti, Bono, Ahafo regions are all expected to be experiencing some of this rainfall during the week because the rains are gradually coming towards the south. So we'll start getting some of these rainfall in the southern parts of the country as well, not just the northern portions.
All right, so, and yesterday we also heard of the situation in Kumasi. Can you update us on as to what is happening there, or as you're saying, it's just the northern region, the northern region rains, trickling down to the middle portions?
Okay, so basically what happened was it was a very heavy rainstorm that affected the northern portions of the country. But then the southern fringes of the storm tracked over the northern portions of the Ashanti, parts of eastern, Oti, Bono regions. So what we had in the Ashanti region was not widespread conditions. Some areas had some minimal amounts of rainfall, but there were portions in the Ashanti region that had those heavy rainfalls, which caused the flooding in parts of the Ashanti region. Like I was saying earlier, we are moving from, we are transitioning from the break in the major rainy season to the minor rainy season. So we should be on the lookout for rainfall from this time as we enter into September. Because from September, October, and November, that is our minor rainy season in the south. And so the rains basically have started. And so we should be on the lookout for rainfall for those of us in southern Ghana. That's from the transition areas through the forest zone before it gets to the coastal parts.
All right, Mr. Sama, please hold on. I'll bring in Enimwa into the conversation at this point.
Hi, Joshua, just a quick one. Have you noticed any changes in the rainfall patterns? And should we be concerned? I mean, the world has been talking about climate change and the effect that it has. Are we entering into times that we really should be concerned about? Have you noticed any changes in patterns?
Yes, I want to be very careful on this topic because there are a whole lot of confusion and then disagreements when it comes to climate change. People think it's climate variability that is happening. Others also think it's climate change that's already happening. But what I believe in, and this is a personal view, and not that of the agency, what I know is that it is the climate variability that will lead to the changes in climate. And so if we are experiencing climate variabilities, then we are on a course to getting a change in the climate. We've seen a shift in rainfall pattern. I think if people have been observant, would have known that most times for the past 2-3 years, we've seen more rainfall in our minor rainy season than our major rainy season. So April, May, June does not really give us so much rainfall. By September, October, and November, we get lots of rainfall. And then it even extends into December. Last year in January, we were still getting rainfall when we're supposed to be in dry conditions. So there's been a shift in climate patterns, which is a result of climate change or climate variability, if you want to put it like that way.
Right. Okay. So what can we expect? I mean, over the next few months, and we're used to dealing with this at a particular time of the year, like you were saying, and there seems to be this shift. What are some of the things that we can begin to put into place so that when it rains like this, we're not hit so hard and life doesn't stop?
Okay. So most of these issues have to do with our own activities. That's human activities that goes on. For Accra, like this, our flooding events are basically because of what the actions that citizens have been taking, which are building on waterways, throwing lots of refuse in gutters and all that. So they are choked. And so when it rains, the rain will not have anywhere to go. You cannot stop a rain from flowing. It will definitely have to find a new path to Chatter. So once we block those waterways, then it will lead to these floodings. But one way we can also deal with some of these things is that most of the flooding events we have are as a result of runoff. For example, in Accra, the rains that cause flooding around Circle don't really fall at Circle. They fall around the inland areas of Greater Accra, and then the runoff will just come to Circle area and get those areas flooded. So we can build water retention points around the northern portions of Accra to contain the water as they come. So that will reduce the discharge rate of the water. So when the rain has subsided and then the discharge is now lower, then we can release the ones that we return over those areas. And then the flow will be a bit normal to ease flooding. So if we're able to build water retention points at some specific areas in some points of the country to reduce the discharge rates of the rains that come, then we'll be able to reduce flooding events in parts of the country. And we should also do our best in trying to live right and stop some of these activities that will cause some of these events to occur.
All right, Mr. Samoa, you're a good resource that we would need for the conversations we're having. So I want you to stay on. I want to go back to Mr. Alhassan John Kweku, the Northeast Region NADMO Director. We're having the conversation with him when we lost the connection. So, Mr. Alhassan, you were making the point about how the rains have impacted your region.
Yes, I was telling you that as for Northeast Region, apart from the depths that we have recorded, and then some of the lands that have been submerged in the water, and then the road networks, those communities that are cut off in the Mampurugu-Madure district, I can tell you that the situation is okay. And also NADMO team from the national headquarters, that's the Operation Tender Board. They are also in town. And NADMO has positioned the officials at strategic points to deal with any situation that will arise as a result of the spillage. But as it is now, the spillage has not been done, but everything is being prepared to deal with any situation that will arise. We've also identified safe havens in all the 6 districts to house any potential displaced persons, and we've made available relief items and other logistics to cater for them. And like I said, yes, the rains, we are still in the midst of the rains, and then the education too is ongoing. So we are appealing to residents, especially those of our people who are living in those areas that are likely to be affected and the flood-prone areas, to be cautious about their own life, because it is important they take their lives very seriously so that we don't lose any life longer. For instance, in the Chelponi area, there was a situation where some 3 young ladies went to do washing in a stream. And then after they have done the washing, then they decided to swim. And then the water carried them away. And then in Bumpuru, for instance, a woman and the daughter went to farm. And then on their return, there was heavy downpour. Instead of them to stay at a particular place for the water to recede in the river before they cross, they attempted crossing and the water carried them away. So we are just appealing to residents. Water is not something that we can be playing with. So when it is raining, you get a place to stay so that when the water recedes, then you can go about your normal work. But for now, Northeast Region, even though it is raining in Gambaga, the situation is under control. NADMO is positioned itself strategically to deal with any situation that will arrive as a result of this. But the impact, the spillage has not been done yet. And we are monitoring the situation. As and when we get any other information, then we'll share with you.
All right. Thank you very much, Alhassan John Kweku, the Northeast Region NADMO Director. Let's go to Martina Bugri, who is joining us via Zoom. Hello, Martina. So yesterday, the floods in Tamale, apparently you were caught up somewhere along the line. You tell us your story. Hello, Martina. All right, we'll come to Martina in a bit, but let's go to Ilyasu Tanko, who's the Northeast Regional Correspondent. So we've just had the NADMO Director telling us that things are pretty much under control in the northeast region. What can you report, Ilyasu? Ilyasu, you'd have to unmute.
Yes, if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes.
So yes, I'm saying that is like the NADMO director said, it's pretty much under control, except that in the Mamproko Mwaduru area, about 16 communities are cut off. Residents in those areas are not able to move from their communities, to move in and out of their communities. And a lot of roads have already damaged in the Janga area. The road there has completely destroyed. People there are not able to travel from their communities. The water levels, as we understand, also continue to rise, especially in the overseas districts of the region, the West Mamprose and then also the Mamproko Mwaduru district. And in some parts, even though the NADMO officials are undertaking sensitization exercise, in some parts of the area, farmers are still desperately trying to salvage their produce. And in doing so, they risk their life. Some of them use old canoes to try to salvage their produce. So it's pretty much under control, but in some parts of the areas, farmers are really desperate because they are not able to reach their communities as well, and they are also struggling to get their produce out of the water.
Now, I'm interested in the bit about the farmers trying to get the produce out of the water with canoes. Essentially, they are on the flood waters with their canoes trying to harvest. Is that what is happening?
Yes, and last year, this caused a lot of casualties in the area. But, I mean, these crops are yet to mature, but because of the water levels, most of their farms have already been taken over by the water. And so that is the only means that they are trying to get. I mean, some of them told me that they use all their savings, their life savings, to cultivate these farms. And so that is why they are risking their lives in order to get the produce, to get something to eat. I was in the Passingpe area. Some farmers were just there, a group of a farmer and a family were just there to get this unripe produce home so that they can get something to eat. And so it's a desperate situation. And like I said, the NADMO officials are doing their best to prevent the farmers going to the waterways. But it's been very difficult, especially in the overseas area where farmers say that that is the only thing that can sustain them and their families. And so despite the risk or the dangerous, the risk involved in this, they are risking their lives just because they want something to eat.
Now, Elias, when you say unripe produce, what sort of produce are we talking about?
We are talking about maize and groundnut as well, largely maize and groundnut. These are the produce that the farmers are desperately trying to salvage.
The groundnuts, I would want to believe that they're underground. How are they harvesting them?
Well, they are rushing, especially in the Kurgu area where we are having a campsite for the Kwalugo multi-purpose dam. I was there, and that particular village was entirely empty because farmers have to leave the community to go into their farm to get their produce. And some of the produce, especially the groundnut farm, has already taken over by waters. But there are others, the water level has not risen that much. And these are people that are struggling in their water trying to get their produce home.
I'll come to you in a bit to tell us the sort of help that people in your communities would need. But I'll go to Martina Bugri, who is now joining us on phone. Martina, what's the situation in Tamale now?
Except for the water that's running through the drains and the farmlands which are still submerged, most homes that were flooded yesterday around this time eventually are getting dried up. And so you can go through these homes except that most of the people had to relocate elsewhere last night to pass the night. And so the whole neighborhood is a bit quiet. You knock at the doors and nobody is around. I must say that it doesn't look too good this morning again because the clouds have started gathering. It looked same yesterday, and within some few hours, the whole town was underwater. It doesn't look too good this morning again.
Well, the Ghana Meteo is saying that you should expect some more rain. Mr. Samuel was actually indicating that should be tomorrow. You talked about some farms that have been submerged. Do you also get the sense that farmers are going out there to try and salvage whatever they can?
It happened so sudden yesterday, and so you don't have people on the farms yet. But I won't be surprised if they begin coming in this morning to want to look at what they can get out of the place. Yesterday, most of them were still on their way when it happened, and so they had to go back. I wouldn't be surprised this morning if they come in and want to salvage something, just so that they can have at least something to send home.
What is happening to the people who were displaced in yesterday's flood?
As we speak now, the neighborhood is quiet. Most of them did not sleep here in the neighborhood. They relocated elsewhere. And so their homes are locked. You just get to the gate and it's locked. You can peep through though and see that the water is gone, but the whole place is quiet and locked, except for an elderly couple who said they returned last night to clean their home. They are in here. Apart from them, the whole neighborhood, those who were affected are not here.
Do you have any idea where they would have gone to?
The elderly couple told me that most of them went into town to lodge with friends and families, and so they probably will be coming later in the day to see what they can take out. Remember, all their homes got flooded, and so they had eventually lost everything. Most of them, what they were wearing alone was what they could just run out with. Like the couple I said, they said they were inside and suddenly they saw the water open the gate and then it started coming from the walls and through the gate. And so they had to run out with their kids and then get a means in town. And so it looks like most people around here will probably be coming later in the day to begin counting their loss.
The NADMO Metro Director was talking about some mosques and the rest being available. Do you know if there are any of these displaced people taking shelter?
I didn't get that advice.
So the NADMO Metro Director was indicating that there are some mosques that are available to shelter people. Do you know if there are any of the victims sheltering there?
I haven't seen any mosques around this area that is sheltering anybody. We have about 3 mosques on this stretch. And the first 2 mosques actually got flooded yesterday, and so there's no way people could have slept in that. But the last one, no one slept in it. Probably they are looking at party in town where other places where they offered shelter in this place. But this neighborhood that the flooding occurred yesterday, I don't think people slept in the mosque.
All right, thank you very much, Martina Bugri. And I'm sure you continue to engage the people who have been displaced to find out what their needs are so we can get to, have the authorities support them as much as they can. And back to you, Eliasu Tanko, what are some of the things that the people, the displaced victims would be needing?
In the Mamprogo Maduri district, where I said 16 communities have been the NADMO officials are not able to assess the communities. So for now, we do not know what is happening. I've sent in a national response team. Operation Tenderboat is now full has been activated, and they unfortunately and they are not able to assess these communities. And so for what kind of people need, what is their situation currently? And so the NADMO officials are hoping that the rain will recede to know their situation and to no extent to them. But for now, they are cut off, and we do not know what is currently happening to them. But those that they have been able to access, the Passington, the Kwa area, they are able to get the people to stop the dangerous adventure going into their produce. They have been able to.
All right, unfortunately, we seem to be losing Eliasu Tanko there from the northeast region. The quality of the connection is not the best. I don't know if we still have Mr. Asamoah from GMET still with us. All right, so Mr. Asamoah, it's great to still have you on. So you've observed what's the kind of reports you're getting from across the country. You're talking about runoff water and how that impacts the flood or worsens the floods. But there's also people's homes that have been completely paved. And so no water gets, soaked into the ground. And often this also results in the floods. How much of this is a problem as well?
I think it's a combination of all these factors. You think yours is little, so it doesn't matter. But once it adds up to another thing that another person also sees to be little, those things will all combine and then give us a major impact. So for most places in Greater Accra and Ashanti region, we are seeing paved roads and our areas are all paved. So the water is not really able to go into the ground. Kumasi, like this, when I was growing up, I saw that people were calling the place the Garden City of Ghana, because we saw lots of trees and like ornamental flowers and all those things in the Ashanti region. But now if you go to the business districts in Ashanti region, it's all tiled and all those things. We don't see the trees and the flowers that we were seeing. So when it rains, it will not be able to go into the ground, and therefore it will lead to some of these flooding events. So we should all do our bit. We should not just say mine is little. Stop throwing refuse in gutters. We should stop paving almost everywhere, and then blocking waterways and all those things. Once we do our little bits, it will help the whole country as a whole.
All right, now whilst we have you on the line, I'd want you to tell us what the forecast is like for today.
Right, so basically we are expecting areas in the western sides of the northern sector around Bole, Damongo to get some slight to moderate rains this morning, but will generally be cloudy across the country. We'll be getting some pockets of slight rain or drizzle in Greater Accra, central and western regions. The eastern Ashanti and western regions, western north regions will also experience some pockets of moderate rains later today. So we're not expecting the rains of the magnitude that happened yesterday, but we'll be getting some pockets of slight to moderate rains for most places in the country. But the intensity will be higher a bit over the middle portions than the northern and the coastal parts of the country. Just some isolated thunderstorms for areas in the northern parts later today. So not so much to worry about for today.
All right, thank you very much. Joshua Asamoah is with the Ghana Meteorological Agency. You're still watching the AM show. We're taking a break. We're hoping that we can get to speak with Kumasi to find out what the situation is there as well, because they also had some rain anymore.
Yeah, they did, and it wasn't great. So we'd love to find out how they are coping, what's happening there, and what we can expect for Kumasi in the next few days. It rained in Accra yesterday, but it wasn't too bad.
Like a drizzle.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. No, it did rain in some parts. Some parts it didn't at all. But obviously we're okay, but not the same story in other places in Ghana. So when we come back, hopefully we'll speak to Kumasi and find out what's going on there. Remember, we also have our COVID conversation coming up, our inoculations, vaccinations happening. So we'll get onto that as well. And of course, we'd love to hear what were your highs and lows, or what have been your highs and lows so far for this year. So all of that coming up after the break.
All right, so this is still the AM show, and we're going straight to Kumasi, where Nana Ajima is standing by. We know that there was some flooding in Kumasi as well. Nanao, what can you report about the floods in Kumasi?
So yesterday, after about an hour rainfall, we had parts of the central business district of Kumasi, that's Edum to be precise, flooding. Also, some areas, including Daban, Akojo, Dakojum, and its environs, were all flooded. Other areas like the Atasumaso and the new sites in parts of Kumasi were also flooded. Interestingly, Atonsu, which is not an area we often record such incidents, also flooded. The Atonsu incident, people are ascribing it to the reconstruction of the road and drains in the area for being behind the reason for the floods. Mind you, in June this year, we had parts of Kumasi flooding, and it resulted in the death of 5 people, which was confirmed by the National Disaster Management Organization. Now, after yesterday's flood, the people in Kumasi were worried about possible loss of lives, but so this morning we are yet to record any deaths from the floods. Now, one interesting thing is that after the June incident, some works were done in some districts and municipalities in the Ashanti region, and also in Kumasi proper, but it looks like the works that were done couldn't yield any positive results, apart from works that were done at KJTR Market, where previously in June we saw it flood, but this time, even after an hour of rainfall, which saw parts of Edum and the central business district flooding, KJTR didn't record anything of that nature.
Do we have any reports about people being displaced as a result of the floods?
Yes, in residential areas where there were floods, including Atasmaso, Dakojom, TUC, and also Atonsu, we had people whose homes were badly affected by the floods and had to spend the nights in places of relatives and friends. And also, I'm learning that there were some people who had to spend the night on the streets. So we had people who were displaced by the floods, and property were also affected.
Do you have NADMO coming in to support some of these people? What are they doing about the situation?
So far, we are yet to hear from NADMO. In the past, that's in June this year, NADMO sounded helpless, and from the visits that I did in some parts of the Kumasi metropolis, no area had any relief from NADMO, but rather NADMO continued to advise the people against throwing of waste in the drains we have in the region, and also those living in areas which are flood prone to move from these areas. So from June, NADMO is yet to come to the relief of these people in the affected areas, but continues to educate them on what to do to prevent being displaced and also getting their property affected by the floods.
What's the weather like this morning? Are you expecting, are you anticipating any more rain if the clouds are formed?
It's very likely, because what we saw yesterday in the morning, we are seeing the same thing this morning. The clouds continue to form, they continue to gather, and it will not be surprising to have heavy rains later this afternoon.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, we seem to be losing Nana out there, but thank you very much, Nana Ojima, for bringing us up to speed with the situation in Kumasi.
Hello, I'm Dori Nando. You can catch up with all the fun on the Cosmopolitan Mix and on all our shows via podcast. Just go to My Joy Online podcast and search for your favorite show and relive those moments all over again. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
You're watching the AM show. The next conversation we're going to be having, it has to do with COVID-19 and the
vaccinations.
The vaccinations. It looks like we have Dr. Amponsah Achiano already joining us. And so let's get straight into the conversation. So thank you very much, Dr. Kwame Ponsa Achano. We want to find out what the situation is with the rollout of the AstraZeneca vaccines. What's the plan?
Yes, good morning to you, Israel, and good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners alike. Yes, so you will recall that we started COVID-19 vaccination somewhere in March, from 1st March, technically from 2nd March, after His Excellency the President launched the start of the program on the 1st of March. So we started with AstraZeneca vaccine. We, along the line, got a few thousands of doses of Sputnik V. And then quite recently, we got some Johnson & Johnson vaccines. For AstraZeneca, we've done approximately 850,000 persons, of whom a little over half have already received their second dose around somewhere in May. So we now have taken delivery of approximately 250,000 doses of AstraZeneca, and we want to continue with the second doses for those who have been waiting. So we have approximately 400,000 plus persons waiting for the second dose. So the plan is, once you get a vaccine and you look at the population, you definitely have to do a kind of equitable distribution, because the vaccines will not be enough to cover everybody at the same time. So what we've done is we've done some kind of sharing for all regions to benefit based on the data that we have. And so we've distributed our vaccines to all the 16 regions for those who have been waiting for the second dose. So that's the plan. And we're starting this week, today, to be precise.
Right, Dr. Achano, you talk about equitable distribution of the vaccines, and you talk about data that's available to you based on which you shared these vaccines. Would you care to just walk us through the process or the thought process, that went into deciding how many vaccines each number of region got?
Yes, so what we did was, first of all, you look at those that are most vulnerable. And in our case, it's the health workers. And of course, if you recall, when we first started, we also spoke of the elderly and the people with underlying conditions. So they were first taken care of when we started the vaccination exercise. And for every region, you had some number of persons within this category. So we share the vaccines first to cover some proportions of health workers and also some proportions of the general population with respect to those who are most vulnerable. And they were the ones who received the vaccines earlier on. You would also recall that when we started the second dose in May, we targeted persons who had received the vaccines from the 1st of March to the 9th of March. So it stands to reason that we just have to continue from the 10th of March. And looking at the data, when we end on the 29th, we would have dished out all the vaccines. And therefore, there'll still be some almost 200,000 people who would have to get the second shot once we get vaccines next week, maximum within the next 2 weeks. We still have some vaccines in the pipeline, AstraZeneca vaccines, and even other vaccines like Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'll say that we are expecting 350,000 doses of AstraZeneca to be delivered to us within this week or next week, and then we can restart the second dose and complete it by the middle of September. Over.
Okay, are you at any point going to begin to focus on maybe the hotspots that have come up over the past few weeks? So for example, Bono East was a hotspot a few weeks ago. At the moment, the Bono region is a hotspot. We know that the numbers have gone up. They've recorded more deaths. Is there going to be any sort of focus on the areas that are popping up as hotspots?
Well, I think that the conversation is on second dose. You don't start a second dose when the person hasn't received a first dose.
Well, it's not just
So
on
for-
second dose, because you talk about Moderna, you talk about Pfizer, you talk about the Johnson & Johnson. So whilst we're having the second dose conversation, which you have very aptly talked about, and we have totally understood that by the end of September, you would have finished the distribution of second doses, and they'll be left with about 200,000, and we're expecting 1.5 million doses coming from Germany as well. So we know that we have enough.
I haven't mentioned that yet.
No, I know you haven't.
What-
I'm telling you what's in the papers.
No, let me tell you what I know. So maybe you can put across what you know later. What I know is that we have 350,000 doses of AstraZeneca that we as Ghana Health Service Ministry of Health been expecting. This would be delivered to us within the week or the next week, 350,000. This 350,000, 250,000 is coming from within COVAX, and then another almost 100,000 coming from Norway, also via COVAX. That's what I'm talking about in terms of the second dose.
Okay.
So let me put that in clear before we add anything. When we get additional vaccines like Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, which we are also expecting within the next couple of weeks, we'll definitely focus on the other areas as well. But remember, Greater Accra, Greater Kumasi or Ashanti for that matter, are still hotspots.
Okay.
The other emerging hotspots, obviously, will take care of that as well. And of course, you have Western, you have Central, you have Eastern, all being hotspots over the past few months.
Okay.
And so we'll still do equitable distribution, looking at geographic and population segmentation in terms of hotspots and vulnerables. Over.
All right, Dr. Chanu, got that. Thank you for that. Israel.
Yes, Dr. Chanu. So let's focus on the people who are anticipating their second doses. What do you tell them, the people who are watching us right now who are waiting for, or who have been waiting for their second dose for a while? What do you tell them?
Sure. So first of all, we have to reassure people that when you get the first dose, irrespective of the time interval, you will not restart. I think that's what people are apprehensive about. You will still continue with a second dose. It's a general principle in vaccinology or vaccines for that matter. You don't restart. The body will still recognize that you had taken some vaccines some 10 years ago or even 20 years ago. It was to recognize. So they should be rest assured. Now, for the purpose of this exercise, we would also want to remind our cherished viewers and listeners to remember to pick their cards, the cards that were given to them when they went for the first dose, and also remember to pick a national ID card for the purpose of data identification and, of course, data entry. And so that is what I want to put across for now.
So long as you have taken your first dose, you can just walk to any of these facilities that are offering the second dose. Is that the case?
Not necessarily. It is for those who had the vaccine from the 10th to the 29th of March. They are the focus for this particular exercise.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Achiano, for making time to speak with us. We also have the Bruno East Director of Health, Dr. Fred Adomako Boateng, who has also joined us. So we have been following the situation in the Bruno East region for a while, and we know that you're putting in so much to try and get people to comply with the protocols. I first want to find out, how successful have you been? Is it reflecting your numbers?
Obviously. So if you look at good morning, Israel, and then good morning to my dear lady and all other cherished listeners. If you look at our figures, you remember when we had a discussion the 31st week, we use weeks. We recorded 220 new cases. Then the 32nd week, we recorded 200 new cases. And then the 33rd week, we recorded 135 cases, new cases. And then just the past week, we recorded 145 new cases. And for me, if you ask me, I think the measures that we have put in place are actually yielding results. And if we continue as we have been doing, definitely, I think the numbers are going to come down. So far, I appreciate where we are now, and I believe that we can still do more.
Excellent. So how about the vaccine rollout as well? You were supposed to have gotten a consignment.
Yes, so we have gotten some. We are grateful to the minister, DJs, and then my good friend, Dr. Achianu. So we have been able to prioritize who should get it and where. You remember the last discussion that we had. If you look at the figures for Bono East, about 80% of all our cases are driven by only 4 districts. You know, Bono East, we are having 11 districts. But if you look at the epidemiology of what is happening, about 80% of all these cases are coming from only 4 districts. So the idea is if you're able to tackle these districts, obviously, you're able to bring down the spread. And then more importantly, even if you look at the districts where all these cases are coming from, for example, if you take Techima Municipal or Techima South, where almost we have a larger chunk of the cases coming from, they have 7 sub-districts making the Techima South. But if you look, 90% of all these cases is coming from only 1 sub-district.
Okay.
That is the Techima Central itself. So we believe that straight away, our job is well cut for us. We know where we have to spend our money. So we prioritize and make sure that at least for what we have in mind, that we are going to ensure that we enforce the adherence to protocols. The security agencies, for that matter, are a priority because they are going to enforce that. And then if you also look at Nkranza South, it's also about 6 sub-districts. And thankfully, the driver is only in one of the sub-municipal, which is driving more than 80% of the new cases. So you see that our cases are well localized and lobulated, so that if you're able to channel all our energies in these sub-municipal, we are sure that we'll be able to catch. So we have apportioned the vaccines that we have gotten along these lines, especially the Johnson & Johnson that we had. In fact, I will have to state that the amount that we had for the J&J will be able to take care of all the security agencies in the Bono East.
Well, that's excellent.
And then, secondly, we also look at the data and we...
Right, unfortunately, we have lost Dr. Fred Adomako Boateng, the Bono
We'll get him back.
the Director of Health, but we'll try and get him back on the line so he can complete his submission. But it looks like they pretty have their job cut out for them. They have been able to identify the areas that they want to,
deal with. And then, but the thing about the Bono East region, though, is that they've kind of become like a blueprint for dealing with COVID-19, because they've really, they're very thorough. I mean, we've had this conversation about the past 3 weeks or so. They've been very thorough, very strategic, about dealing with the numbers and all of that. So good stuff. But he's back, Dr. Fred Adomako Boateng.
Yeah,
Okay,
Dr. Adomako
thank
Boateng,
you.
so you were making the point.
I'm in Kintampo. Our challenges. So, and when you come to the second dose, what we have done, and I think as the program manager said, we are going to give to basically all the health workers who got it. But if you remember, the first one that we got, apart from even the health workers, we were able to give some to the students, some to the traditional leaders. So what we are going to do for the second one that we have gotten is that, and based on, the risk, we are going to make sure that about 90% of those who are going to receive the 80% of those who are going to receive the second dose are health workers who are directly in contact with the cases. And you can see our numbers about, if you look at the proportion of cases that we have gotten, 30% of them are health workers. So it sounds natural that they receive it. So we are going to give to them second, because the AstraZeneca, I mean, you have to receive the second dose. And we are happy because we know them. So we are going to make sure that we stagger the way they come. In that way, we are going to avoid overcrowding, and then people also don't pick it. So the second dose, we are going to give to those who receive the first dose, especially health workers, and notwithstanding the other things that we will get some extra and give it to the at-risk population, the 50 and above. So these are the measures that we have put in place. In fact, today I'm so happy that we are going to launch it at Kintampo. We are going to give it to the security agencies for the first dose at Kintampo at 10 o'clock. So I'm really excited that finally we have gotten the opportunity to give it to them and also to our health workers. So these are the measures that we have put in place. So we are really grateful to the national leadership and all others who are helping us to come to this place so far. Thank you.
Dr. Adumaku-Bating, how are you dealing with vaccine hesitancy, if there's anything like that in your region?
So the first one that we had, and this one, I just want us to discuss, people are where the health workers were, wait and see attitude.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, more than 70% of our health workers received the vaccines. You know the theories that went around, but I have to admit to you, I've gotten my second dose. If I'm allowed, I'll even take the third dose. So now, but people really want to come, especially those who have already received the vaccines. The RCC, everybody is all calling. So we are not doing bad, but I think it can be better. But you can hear, people are now really wanting to receive the vaccine. The challenge is there anyway. You know the theories, the myths. I mean, you can never do away with that. But it's not bad so far. That is what I would say.
Now, I want to get this clear. Are you saying that there was some vaccine hesitancy amongst healthcare workers?
Obviously. I mean, we are all part of the community. And you see, we all have the challenges. All of us. So when it comes to beliefs, perceptions, Israel, it goes beyond this. And you see, this is the point that I have been discussing with a lot of people. People think that wear the mask, you just wear the mask. You need social scientists to really, anthropology to
And Kintampo does it again.
Right. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost Dr. Fred Adumaku-Bating. But thank you very much.
He's back.
Okay, so Dr.
Maybe finish up
Adumaku-Bating
with him. Yeah. It's gone again.
Okay. Too bad. The internet there isn't our best ally this morning. But thank you very much, Dr. Fred Adumaku-Bating. Let's go to the National COVID-19 dashboard and look at the cases as we have it now. So 630 new cases. We have 118,266 cases confirmed so far. Out of that, 110,225 people have recovered and have been discharged. The deaths have gone up to 1,017. And then we have active cases of 7,024. So, well, please, as we keep telling you, it is important that you comply with the protocols. The most important of them is keeping your mask on all the time. Immediately you step out and you're in public, please keep the mask on, as we have done here in the studio. So please stay safe. We're in very, very perilous times with COVID-19, especially the Delta variant on rampage. So please take good care of yourself.
Yes,
we're taking a break here on the AM show. When we come back, we'll be asking you what your highs and lows have been. It's we've done 8 months so far. I would want you to share your stories with us, and then we'll have showbiz as well. IB is already in the studio. Do stay tuned. We're back in a bit. All right, so yes, we got into the part of the conversation where we're engaging you to hear from you your highs and lows.
We've gotten to the part of the conversation where I was going to do this bit. Yeah, Israel is feeling very talkative today. We thank God for days like this. So go on. We've gotten to the part of the conversation. No. I just wanted to tease you about it. Oh, wow. Okay, he's going to go quiet now. Anyway, like Israel was saying, we've gotten to the part of the conversation where we want to hear about your highs and lows. Definitely a high from me that Israel is feeling talkative this morning. So we asked you, to share your highs and your lows with us and what the year has been like. We've done 8 months. We have 4 months left. So let's just go to Facebook, shall we? We'll open the phone lines. Actually, you can call us 0302-211-691 or 0302-211-692. So call us. But in the meantime, let me take some of your Facebook comments. Governor Emmanuel says, the year doesn't treat me, I treat the year.
Okay, cool. Okay. Because you're a governor.
Yeah, Sani says, this year is good for those who understand it.
Oh, wow.
Richard says, a certain percentage broke our hearts, and we are still healing from it. Notwithstanding, it's been an awesome year by the special grace of God. We move.
Who broke whose heart?
A percentage. Philip says, I can only thank God for how far he has brought me and mine, because not everyone who started this year with us is still living. God is good, indeed. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name. I have been praying and searching for a job from January up till today. Nothing has happened.
Something will happen.
Amen. Hallelujah. Says Israel, the chosen one. David says, thankful to God I'm still alive, but to be frank, things are not easy as expected. 4% salary increments is really a curse. I can't pay my ward's admission fees for both nursing and technical university education. The killings and the corrupt practices must be dealt with. Oh, okay. Alice says, my condition is not all that good, but so far as there is life, indeed, we live to fight another day. McDonald says, very bad, and how I wish I can fly to a different world. Richard said, sophisticated, corruption, larceny, and hardship year in life. I guess you're saying it's been a really difficult. Someone who says the year is almost ending. Oof, what a year. Yeah, what a year, right? Nikki Bedu says, I thank God for his protection. I thank him for all the blessings. Amen. Rich Rasta says, since we have life, we're grateful. Kofi King says, year of killings. That's all. Okay. Kufo Gidira says, so nice treatment. Not sure what that means. Emmanuel says, have gone through tough times because some bad investments I made, but I'm cool now and going as I had wanted. Thanks to God for seeing me through. Edward says, very bad, but once there's life, there's everything. Okay, let's go to the phone lines and talk to Francis, who's calling us from Adringano. Francis,
basically,
good morning.
On the 6th of this month, I had a scare on the motorway.
Okay.
I was actually driving at a speed of about 120. Then all of a sudden, I couldn't breathe.
Wow.
So I got this dog I was able to park. And there was this gentleman who was pushing his vehicle. Apparently, he ran out of gas. He ran out of fuel. He didn't even believe he did that. So I approached him, told him I couldn't breathe. Then I gave him my key. So he drove my vehicle all the way to Health Med in Airport.
Wow.
Where they stabilized me. But I thank God for that.
Wow.
I thank God for that. But one lesson. One pharmacist told me that when it happens like that, you just try to whistle. So this is to the general population. If anybody should go through that, I pray that nobody will. But if anybody should go through that, let's try to whistle, take it easy, park, turn off the ignition, roll down your windows, just relax, take it easy, and whistle. Thank you so much.
No, but you indicated you're supposed to whistle, right?
Yeah, whistle. Try to whistle.
Okay.
I was told when you whistle, you're able to take in air, oxygen through your nostrils, and you blow out. You exhale through your mouth, and it helps.
Okay.
And, of course, now I'm on medication.
Yeah.
I'm on medication.
Thank you very much for sharing your story with us.
I'm practicing the whistling.
That's what. Okay, you haven't got into that situation.
Yeah, but you're practicing. Kwamina from Takoradi. Kwamina Otinden. Yeah, we are there. So, what's your year been like, Kwamina?
Since the whole discussion on COVID started, there's one thing that has been left out, or I haven't said. Last year when it came, the vaccines. Some of these vaccines, like AstraZeneca, like the Sputnik, like even this Johnson, we heard that in some cases, some had blood clots. For people who have these blood clot issues, I'm yet to hear any doctor advise us as to what actual vaccine we are supposed to take. Now, I hear we are expecting Pfizer and Moderna, but nothing has been said about some of us who have these blood clot issues. So as I sit here, I haven't taken any because I'm scared.
Okay.
All right. It's good that you brought it up. Now, for the blood clots, as we've heard from the doctors, they indicate that these blood clots can happen in a minute fraction of the people who are vaccinated. So it's very, very rare. I don't think that because you're predisposed to your blood clotting, you're likely to end up, having...
But why don't you just go and see your doctor, Kwamina? Maybe go to the hospital, have a conversation with your doctor, the one who's been treating you for your blood clots and stuff, and ask him, what it means if you take the vaccine. Maybe that's the best thing for you to do.
Now, since this has come up, can we get to reach Dr. Mponsa Chianu and just get to put this to him so that we can have the expert speak to the issue? So if we can work that one out and get to speak to this issue before we end the show.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, so whilst we're waiting to do that, let's speak to Reverend Stephen Ayikwe. He's calling us from Kumasi. Revo, what's up? Are you there? Reverend Ayikwe? Okay.
Hello.
Oh, okay, there you are. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, I'm Asa and I'm calling from
Okay,
Bolga.
this is Asa from Bolga. Okay, Asa, what's up?
Yes.
How's your year been?
The year has been okay. Only that now we know the difference between all the two political parties, the APC and the FPP. They are just the same. So I think the next term of election, we should just discard the two of them and get a new crop of people in, because they have not been helpful to any of us.
I see.
Themselves.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, different strokes for different folks. So thank you for sharing your year with us. And we're going to take a quick break so that we can get some showbiz with IB. So IB is going to come back on, and then hopefully we'll speak to Dr. Achiano before the end of the show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're still on the AM show here on the JoyNews channel, and you are welcome to Showbiz. So in Showbiz, we're going to start throwing our focus on the church. So over the weekend on Rhythms 8, Showbiz A to Z on Joy 99.7, there was the discuss with the Gospel Fraternity, and Pastor Edwin has made it very known that, yes, there's been a lot of talk about whether it is a calling, whether it's a business, the gospel music. But he also said that the church is not a business entity.
I guess Jesse is the one in white, right?
Yes, he is. The one who's dressed like Father Christmas, in white.
Jesse, thank you so much for laying all those points down. Very, very, very good point there. I was trying to even write them down. And I think his point was clear. He was trying to differentiate between when you are offering a gospel performance as a service, and when you can also commercialize what you're doing. And he laid the commercialize or the commercial, how do you call it, platform for us, your own event, online sales and all that. And then he came down to services, and I like his, analysis and examples he gave, that if you're singing for children's service, what would you take? And let's not forget that the church is not a commercial entity. It's like a doctor saying that, when I do one operation, I get this amount of people, I get this amount of money, or when I get a number of patients, I get this amount of money. So I'm going to just make sure I keep patients in the clinic forever, so that I milk them, I milk money out of them. But that is not the reason the doctor is there. The doctor is there to heal them.
Well, let's still stay with the church. And Kwame Ajimambeko, who was also on Showbiz A to Z, stated that, yes, the church, even though might not be a commercial entity, but they should pay royalties.
Grace, you should be fine.
But Rasta, who has said the church should not pay?
We are saying that
Who
the
has said?
church
Who on the
as an
platform?
institution, the default settings of the church is such that you cannot make certain demands which is due you. Please, I don't know which church you attend, but I can go there and I will tell you, I'll give you proof of people who have contributed by way of talent in the music space, and they are living by the electrician or the mason or the whatever.
So your argument is that the church makes it impossible for the gospel musicians to charge them?
To state their claim.
Okay.
In fact, the proof is in the fact that which church in this space has aided any of their musicians to register their works or support them in claiming their royalties. In fact, collectively, the church should be able to pay royalties for music that they use. How far with that conversation?
That one would have to ask Rex Soma and Gamro.
No, I'm saying that let's ask Jesse. Jesse that says that it is not true that the church bars people.
Jesse doesn't work with Gamro.
I am saying, he speaks for them. I am saying that as it stands now, people who work within the church space via music are not owed any copyright, because once you go to stake that claim from within the church, there are churches, Association of Churches or Christian Council, henceforth contribute to Gamro so that they pay us more. And then you be blacklisted like Celestine Donko alleges.
Just before I come to you.
And this morning, just around 9 o'clock, Gamro is going to be having a press conference. Well, they will be talking about the state of the affairs and also royalties in connection with what government has to do for them. Well, let's also take a listen to what Fuse ODJ is saying. Fuse ODJ is saying that, yes, the Grammys should be something we should look up to, but we should not prioritize it too much. We should rather focus on growing our local talent so that it becomes a thing for the outside world to also want to come and, get some of the talent here.
Did you feel when Ghanaians were fuming that, we've not won a Grammy? Some even say we've never won. There's no Ghanaian who's gotten that close.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
I feel like we need to be careful that we don't equate the Grammy to talent. Ghana has some of the best talent that the world has ever seen. And for the Afrobeat scene, Ghana has contributed next to Nigeria more than any other country in the world. We have broken records that nobody has ever broken before, right? So Ghana, to me, is way above the Grammys, because the Grammy doesn't equal the talent of the artist. Bob Marley has never won a Grammy before in his life. But to me, to everyone as well, he's one of the best musicians in the world. So we need to be very careful, because it's very demotivating, because the artists are working very hard. And to me, we should not, raise this Grammy thing to a level where it's like we're equating it to like the talent and the hard work of Ghanaian musicians, because we work so hard.
That was Fuse ODJ, and let's wrap it up with Sineso, who is saying that she has never had any banter with Abiana. So they were all in the same category for Female Vocalist of the Year, and Abiana won. Well, Sineso only tweeted that she feels she should have won, and people were thinking there was a banter between her, Siniso and Abiana. Well, on hit 103.9 with Andy Dossi, she cleared the air that no, there's never been any banter with them.
We never had any banter. I just posted that after the VGMAs, I just posted that I felt like I should have won the best female vocalist, but it's fine. It's all good. Move. So I never said anything that Diana does not deserve it though.
Did she respond?
Andy, that one is true. It's true. That issue, we need to revisit that matter. Andy.
That issue, eh?
We need to revisit that issue.
Okay.
That issue we need to revisit.
Hey,
that is not to say that
Abiana, whether Abiana responded.
That's the same way.
Did Abiana respond?
She didn't respond to me or anything, but I think she did an interview and they asked her the same thing how does she feel about what I said? And I think she said everyone reacts differently and I'm reacting differently to not winning. So she's okay with that.
But do you think she deserved it?
Well, what I would say is we were all nominated. That means everyone deserved it. But at that points in time, I'd released Die For You. And Die For You is a complete vocal song from beginning to end, production-wise, everything-wise, quality-wise. And I just know, just one of those convictions. I know this song is supposed to win Vocalist of the Year.
And that is all time is going to permit us for Showbiz. So easy, back to you and anyone.
Yeah, okay, so before we go, we had to make this call about, we had one caller who was asking that he's predisposed to blood clotting. Yeah. And so he needed to know whether he can go or which of the vaccines he can go for. I called Dr. Mponsan Chianu, who is saying that you should speak with your doctor, which is what anyone said, that if you speak with your doctor can assess the risks and let you know whether it is advisable for you to go for it or not. He said you can weigh the risk, and he probably may tell you that the risks outweigh the benefits or otherwise. Now, before we go, though, there's a special happy birthday dedication coming through. Happy birthday to my wife, girlfriend, and my partner for life, Hajia Princess Seidu Brahma, for another year. Ever since I got to know, love, and married you, you haven't changed and still remain a royal and loyal pillar in my heart. Yes. On this special day, my simple message to you is, I will love you till the end, wish the best of your heart's desires, wish you the best of your heart's desires, and will continue to be faithful and love you more. God bless you. And do you know who's this is coming from? It's coming from Rafiq Salam.
Wow. Romantic.
Rafiq, yeah, that was quite romantic. So Rafiq,
we love that, Rafiq.
Yeah. And Hajia, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
From all of us here. And we're leaving you with this song. And have a wonderful day.
But before we go, have you gotten your